Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development, as we take a look at the card down at Gulfstream Park. 4 graded stakes races on the Saturday card, and they make up the late pick 4, culminating with the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale in the 11th race. Jim, we'll jump into the 8th race, the Grade 3 Rampart. It's a mile for fillies and mares. And where did you land here?
This is the shortest field, but I thought it was very competitive. I landed with the inside horses, and I really didn't have a strong preference. Tweeting, the 2-horse, typically jumped way up when Jorge Navarro took over. Jumped up 17 buyer points and followed it up with another mid-80s or high 80s buyer last time out in a little stakes race at Laurel. So tweeting has gotten good for Navarro. Chad Brown has Electric Forest, who's only been out 3 times and is 2 for 3 with a win here at Keeneland. Broke her maiden here at Keeneland back in April. And then Tappa for Tim Ham had a 102 buyer back at Tampa in December of 17. So hadn't been back to that form yet, but got a lot of back class. So I kind of went inside here. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Chad Brown with Tappa, because I don't know that Tweeting can run a third straight off those 2 top buyers, but you got to play Navarro. You can't leave him out. 35% trainer in 2018. So 1, 2, 3 from me.
Yeah, that's where I ended up too. Was on tweeting with the Navarro barn, and this horse is working really well. Electric Forest was my second pick. I think the post position and the stretch outs, a little bit of a question mark. I'm not wild about the rail going a mile, and then the Tappa, Breaking Bread the 4. Tequilita the 5 are a little interesting. Like you said, it's hard to be real solid on any one. So tweeting is going to be the pick for me. I'm probably going to go not as deep as I would like in here just to manage the cost of the ticket because I can't find a single anywhere. We'll move on to the 9th race. And who do you like in the Grade 3 My Charmer at a mile on the turf?
This one's tough. I went with a horse on the outside that didn't run very well last time out. Pas de Saucisse, if that's somewhere close. And I picked this horse in the Athenia back in October, and she didn't run very well. Don't think she liked the good turf, and I think the Kentucky Downs race, in retrospect, took a lot out of her because she ran behind Nooney back in Saratoga on a soft course. I just think the ladies' turf at Kentucky Downs, she fought really hard. She had a tough trip. And then she came back in the Athenia and didn't run a step. So I think she's going to bounce back here. I think the mile suits her well. And but she's a very lukewarm favorite. I'm going to go deep in the pick 4. But Bellevase for Todd Pletcher, you've got to use special events for Shug McGahee. Capla Temptress for Bill Mott, probably going to be the favorite in here at 7-2 morning line. Hadn't run since the QE2 and didn't run that great in that race, but Rushing Fall was in there, so you couldn't expect her to win. So those are the ones. La Moneda is the other horse I'd use for Tom Morley. But Pas de Saucisse is my top pick, but again, it's not a strong pick. This is a wide-open race, I think.
Same here. I ended up going on special event in here. Irad Ortiz is hot down there at Gulfstream, and he lands on this horse. I think this is maybe a little softer spot than she's faced in her most recent. Short layoff, but it's Shug McGahee, so he can certainly get them ready. I would use Capla Temptress off the back class. Cherry Lodge, just because second off the layoff for Pletcher's, had 5 works since that win at Keeneland. I'm going to add number 14, I'm Betty G, also horrible post position, but I think it's a nice horse. So I'm going to go with those 4 and then use the one that you picked. That just speaks to how deep this race is. So keep the ticket manageable. I'm going 4 horses in there. 10th race is the Grade 3 Sugar Swirl. Fillies and mares going 6 furlongs here. And I went to Stormy Embrace. 4 wins at Gulfstream, including a Grade 2. I like the Gaffleone stays on. I think this horse might be the speed in here. So Stormy Embrace for me, but I like Awestruck. I like that race Bronx Beauty ran last time. Dream Pauline, I think, is certainly capable of winning this. Really any one of those 4 I could see. So I'll use all 4 of those in the pick 4. Stormy Embrace is my win pick in the Sugar Swirl. How about you?
Yeah, I thought this one was a little more chalky. I think Stormy Embrace, because of that 97, the Princess Rooney just jumps off the page at you. And she obviously loves Gulfstream. She didn't have a good race in the sheer drama going into the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint, and she didn't run a step in that race. But she was, I think she's got class there. Kathleen O'Connell gets them back ready quickly. So I think Stormy Embrace has got a big shot. But I'm going to also use Awestruck in here for Rusty Arnold. Just very consistent, and Vertical Oak beat her last time out by 2 3/4 at Churchill, and Vertical Oak came right back and won another stakes race. So I think Awestruck fits well, and I'm going to just go too deep in the pick four with those two. I'm going to take a stand with the 2 and the 4.
We'll move to the last race of the pick four. It's the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale, 1 1/8 on the turf. I thought this was really hard to narrow down. Where did you go?
Yeah, I marked out a bunch of numbers here that probably are winners. I wound up going with Projected. A lot of these horses have beaten each other. If you look at Projected's PPs, Projected has lost to Dr. Mounty, Curbon, and Inspector Lindley. Then you go on back, and he lost to Voodoo Song. He hasn't won a race in a long time, but he's always there. And I think Brown spots him well, and he's been off since September 29th. He runs well off a layoff. He's run well off layoffs the last 2 times he's had to extend a layoff. So I'm going to go with Projected here, but when we get to the pick four, I think I've got 6 horses written. Curbon has a big shot. I think High Happy has a chance to bounce back from the Breeders' Cup turf. I think Almanar has a big shot for Chad Brown and Rosario. I think Devisadero, it was my second choice in here just because of back class coming out of 3 straight Grade 1s. And so I stopped there. I could have added Dr. Mounty, the 13. I could have added Inspector Lindley, the 14, but I threw him out because of post positions. So going 6 deep in here. Projected is a very lukewarm pick. I could also be talked into Devisadero. If he winds up better than 6 to 1, I'm going to bet him straight up, I think.
I'm going to go 5 deep when we get to the pick four, but if you're playing just within this race, as deep as you can go in an exacta box, or maybe find one horse that you could key off of and then go deep with the key horses around him. Curbon's going to be the key for me. Won a Grade 2 in his U.S. debut up at Saratoga, and then came down and ran in the Grade 1 Shadwell and didn't run badly at all. Joe Bravo, I think, really picks his spots well, and I think it's interesting he lands on this one for Kieran. And there's just a nice long pattern of good works leading into this, and I think maybe this horse could be set up to have a nice year, and Curbon's going to be my win pick in here. Devisadero's the next one that I had, and then I have Projected, and if I'm going to use Projected, I'm going to use the other Chad Brown, Almanar. And then Mr. Haverkamp is going to be where I'm going to stop for what's going to be an expensive pick four ticket. Black Type and Zulu Alpha, I think, are a couple of horses that have nice speed figures. Don't like the post for Zulu Alpha, but I loved that horse last time at Keeneland. And he ran to the improved form. And then Black Type had a big improvement in the buyer figure last time. If those horses repeat those last numbers, they're right there. But you can't use them all unless you single somewhere else. So I used 5. So I'm end up with a 1-2 with 7, 8, 9, 14, with 2, 3, 4, 7, with 3, 4, 7, 9, 10. I think that's an $80 ticket. The ones in the last race, I'm using them in the order of preference, or I would say in the order of preference, it would be 4, 10, 3, 7, 9. So if you want to strike 1 or 2 of those off to save money. The other thing you could do is you could single tweeting on the front end and just live or die with Navarro, and then maybe go even deeper in that last leg. But I'm going to go 2 by 4 by 4 by 5 for me. How about you?
It's a pretty good strategy to live and die with Navarro down there, or at Monmouth. So I've got a $90 ticket, and I do the same thing here. I'm using 1, 2, 3 in the first leg. Electric Forest, Tweeting, and Tappa, Tappa, Tappa. I could be talked into leaving off Tappa, Tappa, Tappa. It's just not in very good form right now. So it'd be a $60 ticket, but I'm going to go with a $90 ticket. 1, 2, 3 with 1, 6, 8, 9, 12. Take a stand with a 2, 4 in the third leg. And in the last leg, I think I mentioned 5 horses. I'm also going to put in Black Type. You mentioned him, and I had him down as a shot in here. So I'll go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Just 1, 2, 3 with 1, 6, 8, 9, 12 with 2, 4 with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. That's $90. If you cut down the first leg, it could be 60 or even 30 if you single.
It's a real nice card, and if you're playing it on Saturday, best of luck to you. If you can't get to your local simulcast facility, you can keep your Keelan Select account fully funded, and while you're watching hoops or bowl games, you can play the races too. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach, and this is the In the Money podcast for KeelanSelect.com.